Okay, welcome to another episode of the Rugby League Outsiders. My name's Craig.
And my name's Karl.
And today we've got an incredible guest here at the London Broncos. We have got Siobhan Longdon-Hughes, who's a player at the London Broncos, and she's going to give us a little bit of an insight into the world of rugby league here in the capital. So thanks for joining us, Siobhan.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I think the obvious place to start is like what was your kind of transition? How did you get into rugby league? Obviously, we're outside of the rugby league heartlands here, and how did you sort of end up sitting here today?
So to be honest with you, I guess when I was learning to play rugby, I learned how to play rugby from watching rugby league. So even though I started playing rugby union, I remember it was the time that Sky had the pause button come out. So my dad is a massive Wigan fan,
right?
And we'd just be watching loads of rugby league games from donkeys up to the current stuff. So I initially I started playing wing for rugby union, started watching a lot of rugby league games in terms of my positioning, where I'd be, what sort of lines I want to run. Had a career in rugby union, and then just heard about the team in probably about 2021, and I was like, I've kind of sacked off playing rugby union. Why don't we give rugby league a try?
What age was you when you started playing rugby union?
I must have been about 12.
And who did you play for?
So I started my career at Grasshoppers Rugby Club, which is a West London team. And then at the time, I didn't really play, there wasn't a lot of female teams, so you kind of were playing with a botch team with loads of different teams. Yeah. Then played for London Irish, then went to Hartbury College, played for Hartbury, played for Worcester for a bit of my career, went to uni, played for Uwick, played under 20s, England students, made the elite squad but didn't get a cap, and then I kind of was like, oh, what am I doing? Played for Thurrock a little bit in Essex, and then I would say I finished my rugby union career at Thurrock, but I was living in West London the whole time, so I'd be commuting to Essex from West London every week for games and training. And then it just was perfect. Then when I heard about the London Broncos ladies, loads of the girls that I'd played with throughout my union career were also playing. So then I was like, yeah.
And what is it about rugby that attracts you to the sport?
Well, to be honest with you, I really like the team element of it. So in terms of my background, when I was a kid, I was a ballet dancer. And then I started playing rugby alongside doing ballet, which my mum absolutely hated.
That's real niche, that is.
Yeah. And then, I sort of had to pick one or the other. To be honest with you, when I started playing rugby, I started playing with the boys. So it's like a chance to just get all your anger out and hit people. And
definitely couldn't do that in ballet.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the team element was great. I've been lucky enough to travel the world playing rugby, and you meet so many people. All my friends I've made, a lot of them are all from rugby, playing rugby in all different places. So I think that answered the question.
Yeah, brilliant answer. London Broncos, the women's team. Do you know much about the history? What year did it start, and how long have you been with the club?
Yeah, so the club started, the women's section started in 2021. So I remember getting a text from a friend saying, oh, there's this rugby league team starting in West London in 2021. And I remember at the time, I've got a northern boyfriend who plays rugby union. And when I told him, oh yeah, there's a rugby league team starting, he kind of laughed at me and was like, are you sure, Siobhan? And I was like, no, it'll be fine. So then I played that first season, the girls squad started, and it was just so much fun. You just kind of turned up. I remember Colin was there, and it was just great. I was like, this is great. I'm just playing with my mates again. I'd had some time out playing rugby union, and it just ignited something in me again that I think I'd kind of lost and grieved after kind of not playing rugby union. So 2021 it started. That season was amazing, but you could see there were so many things we were just kind of just shoved a load of shirts on, played, and just kind of figured it out. So we still
Yeah.
kind of play in rugby union, but then we were like, oh no, we have to like put the ball down. We have to, do all those things. I think one of the first times we played, like one of the girls actually went to like jackal for the ball, and we were like, no, wrong one. So that's when it started. And to be honest with you, for the past, I think we're in the 4th season now, it's just grown and grown and grown. Some of the girls who started the very first season are still here. We've had an influx of girls come from all over the south, really, come and join our squad as well. So it's been great, yeah.
Did your dad have any words to say about you playing league, or?
I will never forget, I remember him saying, because I'd had some time out of rugby union at the time, and I was like, oh, Dad, I've started playing rugby league. And he kind of like looked at me and he went, yeah, but you're not fit enough. And I was like, oh,
Cheers,
God, thanks. So it kind of, to be honest with you, like I've kind of got that relation with my dad, and he's brutally honest with me. And I remember turning up at the time, the first season I was playing centre. So I was like, okay, it's not too bad. Second season I was playing prop. When I told him I was playing prop, he was like, oh my God, Siobhan. But yeah, so it's, I think now he knows that I kind of love rugby league more than rugby union. Like the love I have for rugby league is kind of, I think, surpassed union. So he loves it now. Yeah.
Is it just the power and the pace and the fact that you've got a lot more of the ball that attracts you to it? Or
I quite like the structure of the game. So in terms of like between union and league, I like how it seems almost a lot more tactical than playing rugby union. So rugby union, it's kind of endless. If you win the ball back, you've got a chance to attack. Whereas...
No, you don't. You got to kick it to other team.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Oh, sorry, I'm only joking.
Yeah, there's that as well. But in rugby league, you've got those kind of 6 tackles to either do something with it. It's very kind of positional. Where are we on the pitch? Where we're trying to get to? It's not just about getting the ball and trying to score like off first phase, which is, I think, when we first started playing, we were trying to do all the time.
Like sevens.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's a lot. I quite like the tactical element in terms of, okay, where we're trying to get to, this is where we need to be. We've got 6 tackles to make something happen, and then try and score out of that. In a way, it's a lot harder than playing rugby union. So I think that's what I like about it. It's a new challenge.
And so if you look back over your years with London Broncos, then obviously last year was a massive year for you. So talk through your highlights that that you've had with the Broncos.
So I think the biggest thing for me, so I have an 18-month-old daughter. So I came back, I think she was about 9 months when I had my first game postpartum, and that was here playing at home. And I think that was the biggest highlight for me. Like I'd never really thought about having a child and then watching me play rugby, even though rugby's been such a massive part of my life since I was 12, really. And it was just so nice to just kind of be in that position where I was playing again and like playing and then like looking up at the stand and seeing her little face, even though she had no idea what was going on. And then being like, oh my God, I can't be lazy now because she's watching. So I've got to keep going and blowing out my arse and stuff like that. So I think for me, that was the biggest highlight. And then being able to kind of lift the trophy with the girls at the end of last season with her, with my medal on, was just amazing. Like even now we've got it around the house and she's like, pointing at it, wearing it around the house and swinging it in between her legs. So yeah, I think that was the biggest highlight for me. That was quite a special moment to be able to play and have her and my partner watch.
Can I just ask you, like, something that maybe we won't understand, but what pressures does that bring?
Oh, kind of endless. So I had a C-section, so basically going into that transitioning of training and even before I was looking to play was quite massive for me. I remember I was like having regular physios on like the mummy MOT, and basically you don't realise that first of all your hormones are doing everything. I was parts of that still kind of expressing as well, so my hormones were all over the place. And then you get out and before you've got to kind of build up all your strength and your kind of pelvic floor and stuff before you even get out there. You then get out there and start running and it feels like everything is just rattling around. Like the way you were running before you have a baby, you literally start running and you think, oh my God, why is everything moving in different positions? And then there's also kind of like that the kind of home and rugby and work-life element, which is something that is, if you've got a lot of family support, you've got like someone to help you, you've got a good partner, you've got a great squad of girls as well. Like I remember I would be training and she'd have like a little camping chair that she'd sit on whilst watching us train, kind of poking, prodding Colin for his whistle and stuff. Training, and then she'd just be screaming and you think, oh my God, and I'd always be like, please start screaming when we're doing fitness. But she'd always start screaming when we're doing team stuff or we're doing a bit of smash, and I think, oh God, I've got to like get up and look after her and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of female athletes who make it work, and you see it on social media and you think, oh my God, like I want to be able to do that. And I probably could have almost rushed in and been like, I'm going to do that. But when you're actually in it, it's bloody hard.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
Bloody hard. It's not just the pitch stuff, it's the home stuff, it's like the being able to train, it's getting your eating right, it's everything, because everything has completely changed. So yeah.
I mean, because you take yourself out for minimum 9 months, and then if you take yourself out of any sport or any activity for 9 months, you're going to be rusty. You're going to be
exactly.
And then my background's fitness and like personal training. If someone's had a C-section, that's 12 weeks. You don't do anything for 12 weeks until
Yeah, you say you don't do anything, but you've got a baby, a newborn baby.
No, I mean as in like you don't drive a car. You don't try. You don't. Do you just drive a car?
You should have seen me immediately post C-section. I was moving the bed, moving the bin around, getting up, getting down, walking up and down the ward with her. Like they say 12 weeks, but in reality, it's not.
No, well, it can't be.
It can't be, yeah. You have to do everything. Like when my partner goes off, when he went off to work, it's just me and the baby, and I was not going stir crazy sitting in the house all day. So I would get up, put her in the car, get up, take her out, go for a walk and stuff like that. You've just got to kind of do what you need to do to keep sane. Even though having a child is great, I'm probably making it sound really bad, but you've just got to do what you've got to do. Even like getting up out of bed, putting them in the cot. Like, God, yeah, it was hard.
After game day as well.
Oh my God, after that first game, I had to be rolled out of the bed.
I
just lay on the floor for a little bit and I was like, okay, I need you to help me get me up now. And then I got up. And then I was like, oh God, now I need to walk. So then you're holding on to everything to kind of walk again. But yeah, it was... that feeling wasn't great, but the feeling when you're on the pitch and the adrenaline's running and you think, oh my God, nothing's changed, although you're kind of probably running a little bit like this.
But it sounds like she's just like an extension of the team.
Oh, definitely.
Like integrated into the team. There.
Yeah, definitely. She's probably like one of the assistant coaches now, which is amazing. We got loads of good pictures last season, and when we were kind of I started doing some extras here as well before the season started, and like we were into pre-season of her in this little camping chair, and you could see her just kind of watching the girls, and then she'd get up, she'd start running. So yeah, it's nice. We've got she is part of the team, and when she comes down, I'm hoping one day she'll be running on my water when I'm blowing, and I'm like, she comes on the pitch and stuff like that. That'd be amazing. Can
I just ask you another little question then? So it might just fast forward now, like what? And let's say she started playing rugby league. What qualities do you think rugby league teaches you that you'd want to see in your child?
You just asked the question I was going to ask. Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing is kind of that teamwork, leadership skills, obviously a lot of buzzwords, communication and all of that, but actually to its core, it's just kind of the discipline of being in a team, all being on the same song sheet and working towards a common goal. I can't really see many other things where you kind of have that, and I guess you do have other team sports, but I think rugby is so unique because you're physically putting your body on the line, and when you're out there and you're playing, it's kind of like it's you and your team together, and I think that kind of part of it is something that not really many other sports can give you. Like rugby's got definitely a special place in my heart, and in terms of all the things that I've learned from it, in terms of even thinking about back to my job, a lot of it, I'm doing a lot of leadership stuff at work. I work in the NHS, and it all comes back to stuff that's said on the pitch, like when your back's up against the wall, what do you do then? How do you speak to people? How do you communicate? How do you perform as leader? All about team performance. All of those skills that you get in rugby can translate to not just kind of my daughter playing rugby, but when she grows up, when she has a job, when she kind of goes on in her life. So yeah.
She's definitely not going to be doing ballet then.
Probably not, yeah. Probably. Well, she might do both again. She could be another me and do both. So, yeah.
Before Craig asked the brilliant question, by the way, I did want to touch back onto the last season.
Yeah.
And if you can just sort of take us through the year and how it developed for the Broncos.
Yeah, so I think basically the season before we finished on a real high.
Did you lose to Cardiff Demons the season before?
Yes, so we lost to Cardiff Demons. I think, was it the final?
Yeah, it was in the final, wasn't it?
But off the back of that, I think it's still in terms of like how we'd been performing throughout the year. We were on a high in the sense that we knew what we had to achieve, and then we had the pressure of obviously Challenge Cup at the beginning of this last season. So we could kind of see that progression in terms of as a squad. I feel like almost before that we were just kind of playing games and playing other teams and, but with the start of this season we had Challenge Cup, so then it was a marker of actually what sort of team do we want to be. I know like in the south there's not really much in terms of rugby league, especially for the women's game, so where do we want to be at? What's our kind of marker? We want to be playing a lot of the northern teams who've got like professional outfits and they're playing rugby league week in, week out. This is kind of the level we want to be at. So I think when we started that season, we kind of went into that season with Challenge Cup. I can't even remember who the first game was. The first game was home here, and it was tough. But actually, there was parts of the game where we held our own. So having the tough Challenge Cup in the beginning almost set us up for the rest of the season then, because I remember, who did we play? We played, I can't remember off the top of my head now. It's all kind of a bit of a blur. But I think the first two games we lost, relatively big scores. But like I say, when we looked back and we did the analysis on the game, there was parts of the game where we actually held our own. And then I think the final game was against Featherstone in the Challenge Cup. And we won that game. And I think that kind of gave us a little glimpse of, we can actually compete, we can actually do this then. So we had that high, and then it just meant when we went into the season, we were just kind of going from strength to strength. We lost to Cardiff at home. I remember we were playing at Richmond by 2 points. And that was just a game that, it was so unfortunate because actually when we watched that game, we were the better team, but we were just not converting those points to actually clinch the game. And again, that gave us a bit of a fire in our bellies to kind of see out the rest of the season. So when it came to the final, I think we just had no doubt we had to win that game. Like, we'd built our confidence through the season, and it was like, we've got to just put it to bed now. We've got to just finish this.
And the final, what was the score in the final?
Oh God, now you're asking me. God, I just feel like it was such a high, it was such a blur. The final.
Well, tell us how you was feeling. Tell us how you was feeling at the start of before the game, during the game, and then after.
So I wasn't actually picked for the game, so I was kind of helping on the sideline crew. So it's kind of an awkward position because you're obviously devastated that you're not there playing with the girls. But then I was still someone who was like, I really want to be involved in the day and just give them a bit of words of wisdom, help them with the water, kind of be there as much as I can, because I've been with the squad like when I came back from maternity leave, like for the rest of the season. So before the game, you could see we were warming up. I remember I felt, maybe it's because I wasn't playing, but I felt good. I was like, the sun was out. I was like loving life. We got our new vests. We were loving it. We go into chatting to some of the girls, and you could just see, despite how confident and how like competent they are as players, they did the warm up. And it's like they were like shitting themselves. It was, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the occasion. We had a lot of people coming. But you could see they were just, it's almost like they kind of doubted themselves, and they're like, oh my God, like what are we going to do? And then I remember they had a couple of words in the change room before the game. And I can't remember, I think I said something like, girls, like, look where we are, we've come to this season. Look at the games we've played and the scores that we've had. Last season we only lost one game. And I said to them, like, actually, we can fucking do this. Like, just have a bit of confidence about you. Get your head up and like just go out and play. And then during the game, it was like electric. We had like a big stand. We had a full stand. the girls were like literally hitting hard. Oh my God. And you could see they were hitting hard because as the game was going, I think it was the army, wasn't it? Some of the army girls would go down and then we'd be waiting because there would be an injury. But some of the hits that some of the girls were making were absolutely like, I would hate to be playing against them. Like, you know, when you're at training and you think, oh God, I've got one of them up in front of me. You're like, please just be kind. We're training. But honestly, they left everything out there on the pitch. You could see there was a lot of tired bodies near the end of the game, but everyone just put 110% in and left it all out there. And then afterwards, oh my God, it was party time. It was so good. It was just, it just felt like we could just, after the tension at the start of the game, like before the game started, during the game, you could see it got to half time and everyone just took a breath and then they were like, yeah, let's, like, they were like, almost, not that they weren't up for it before, they just had a bit of like confidence about them. They went out the second half, saw it out, and then they were like, oh God, fuck, we've done it. Yeah. It was like amazing. So yeah, it was great. It was really good.
You said before the game you sort of spoke to some of the players and gave a bit of a motivational sort of speak sort of thing. Can you see yourself going into coaching in the future? Is that on your radar?
I don't know. I think...
You've never been asked it before? And
I don't know. I think if it was union, I would have said yeah. Well, if it was union, I probably would have said no because I think I would just need to close that union book if that were. But with rugby league, I think I'd love to. I don't know. It's an awkward one because I often have chats with my partner about this. He's been playing rugby like a long time, like I have, and he's like, "Yeah, but when you're done, you just need to like leave it alone and just say enough is enough." And he's kind of stepped away from rugby. I'm not saying using the R word, but he's stepped away from rugby. But then it's kind of like it feels bad saying this, but what are you going to do on a Saturday? What are you going to do on a Saturday? Like, just even now sometimes, like before the season started, he's kind of stepped away from rugby. He's just pecking my head. I'm like, just go do something. So yeah, I think maybe, I don't know, who knows? Maybe
inspire the next generation, maybe.
I don't know about that, but we'll see. We'll see. It'd be nice to.
It is, well, this episode is going out on International Women's Day. I don't know if we've told you that, but it is.
No problem.
You represented rugby league at, go and tell me all about that.
Yeah, so I got invited like through the squad to go. There was like a Black History event at the Speaker's House.
Yeah.
So basically, I went to the House of Parliament to the Speaker's House, and Sir Lindsay Hoyle was there. He was hosting this Black History event to kind of celebrate Black history in loads of different industries, and I was there representing kind of rugby league, which was mad in itself. I was like, it was amazing. It was like amazing experience, amazing opportunity. So I was there with Joe Mabou and
Joe Mabou is the London Scholars head coach,
and Jamie Jones Buchanan as well.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. One of the greats. So it was quite nice because it was loads of different people from loads of different industries, from like actors, actresses, singers, to people who are in education, people in loads of different other sports as well, the army, the navy. So it was nice kind of little celebration of loads of people from different backgrounds, but it was also nice because Sir Lindsay Hoyle is a mad rugby league fan. So it was quite nice. We got to speak to him for quite a while, and then I was shocked, I'm not going to lie, but basically a couple of the people who'd been at the event then got invited back with him and his wife to have like more drinks, and it just like we were just talking about rugby, and there were like actors there, and I was like, why am I talking about rugby and all these people are just sat listening to me? And like me and Sir Lindsay were like talking about kind of where he's from in the north. His wife is obviously Northern as well, and there was like some weird connections in the sense that his wife went to the same school as my partner who's Northern and like knows the area where he kind of grew up. So it was a surreal event. I remember coming home and the next morning having to go into work and being like, what happened yesterday? Did that actually happen, or am I dreaming or whatever? But overall, it was like a great celebration of kind of Black history and Black people in loads of different events. And I was honoured to be representing Rugby League the way I did.
Well, it sounds like a real privilege and a massive opportunity. Obviously, the women's game is very, very exciting.
Yeah.
And, the potential there is massive. What is it that excites you about the women's game as we go into 2024?
I think, especially for us as London Broncos, is our growth from being just a team of rugby union players, a couple of rugby league players who kind of got together in 2021, to being a proper rugby league outfit in the South that can then kind of progress and hopefully kind of push to be in that Super League setup. I think if we had Southern representation in the Super League, that would be massive for the area, because there are a few Southern teams in the Southern League that we're obviously in at the moment. But to be able to push to get into that Super League, I think would be the ultimate goal, really. And that's something that's really exciting. Like Rugby League, from when we started, the players that we had, each season we've had more and more numbers. So that's just kind of gives an indication of the growth in itself. And I think if we can push and try and get into that Super League, we can only go from really strength to strength, really.
And obviously you've been entered into the Challenge Cup because you won the Super League South, they call it, don't they? You've been entered into the Challenge Cup. Now you're going to be up against some of these northern powerhouse teams, aren't you? So you've been drawn against.
We've got St Helens and Warrington
in your group. So are you going to be looking to use the Challenge Cup as to really try and set a marker down?
So I think for us, definitely, I think we still want to prove that actually we are a rugby league team. We're not just loads of people who've just turned up to try and play rugby league. We're a proper team, and I think we want to go out there and kind of do everything we can. And if we try and win a game, because obviously that's why we turn up on a Saturday, Sunday anyway, I think we are going to try and use it to put a marker down and say, look, we're here. We might not quite be as big as you teams up north, but we're down but we're down south. We're knocking on that door. So I think that's what we're going to try and use the Challenge Cup for. And also, like I say, like we did last season, use it to kind of look at what our strengths are and how we can improve then going into our own season. Because obviously this season there is a potential for us to kind of get into that Super League. If we win the league again, we play the Super League North. If we win that, then we play the bottom of Super League. If we win that, we're in the Super League. So
there's a pathway now, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a real chance and a real pathway now. So we need to kind of every game be developing and looking at how we're gonna almost on to the next thing. Like what's our big goal and how are we going to get there? What are all the little chunks that we need to do and we need to put in to make sure that we give ourselves a chance of getting there?
And do you have any do you look up to any of the players? The Jodie Cunninghams. Do you have a favourite player in the Super League that you try and emulate?
To be honest with you, not really. I do love watching rugby league. I love watching the men. I love watching the women. But I think for me, even though this is my third season, let's say, that we're coming into this year, I feel like there's still a lot of growth for me to do as a rugby league player. So I've been playing rugby union for years. I'm still not learning the games from its basics, but there's still so much that I want to learn before I can kind of look up and say, this is the player I want to become. I'm still trying to figure out exactly who I am as a rugby league player first. Yeah. And then off the back of that, then it's kind of easier to see where I want to be for me, because when I play rugby, it's not just going out there smashing. It's all the little details. It's all the little technical stuff. It's the tactical stuff. Why we're playing in this position. And in rugby union, I had that. But in rugby league, that's what I'm trying to learn. That's where I'm trying to get to. So, yeah.
Still learning as you go along.
Still learning, yeah, as I go along, trying to. Yeah.
Siobhan, I wonder what advice you'd give to other women that are perhaps on the fringes of playing either code of rugby.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
I would say just turn up. You'll be so shocked. I think sometimes there's a perception from the outside of what women's rugby is like in general, in terms of kind of injuries, in terms of what it's actually going to be like on the pitch, etc. But actually, a lot of people, when they turn up and they just playing with a group of girls, training with a group of girls, they very soon quickly realise that this is it almost becomes your kind of little tribe, your little group of people. And everyone you meet is come from so many different backgrounds that you will definitely find someone. As a squad, you'll connect. You'll meet a group of people that you will probably never meet in your life if you hadn't have turned up. So I think the biggest thing for me would be just turn up and try it. And if you really hate it and don't like it, obviously you don't need to come back. But you won't know unless you try. So it's one of those sports that I think a lot of people are surprised. They turn up. I was a ballet dancer and I turned up, and I've had a nice career. I've had an all right career so far, even though I've switched codes and I'm still loving it. So I'd say just turn up, and you never know what you might find, what you might get out of it.
And this is going off track a little bit, but the rules have changed this year with the tackle height and things like that. Have you seen sort of any impact? Have you had to adjust how you're training and things like that?
So I think for us at the moment, because we know we've got Challenge Cup first, we haven't tried to change much of what we're doing, because obviously the Challenge Cup is still with the old rules. So we're hoping that the time that we have in between Challenge Cup and our league starting is when we can really nail down in terms of training and that tackle height and the differences in according to kind of like the old rules and the new rules. So I would say we haven't really done too much of that in training at the moment, because obviously Challenge Cup we're still playing with the old rules, but I think that'll be something that we'll have to quite quickly adapt to in that little period in between.
Are we golden pointing?
Yeah.
So we, Siobhan, every week we ask a guest to not only set a golden point question for the next guest, but also to answer the question from the previous guest.
God.
So we had Rick Jones, Rick.
Yeah, Richard Jones.
Yeah, we had Rick Jones from the Brixton Bulls. Okay, and his question was, so he's going to the World Club Challenge. This is be a pretty soft question. You'll be all right.
Okay.
And so his question was, which player will he be trying to get to sign his boots at the end of the game?
Which player?
No.
God. God, I really have to think now.
Wigan and Penrith.
I know. Let me think. My dad will be, if he's listening to this, he'll be like, Siobhan, how are you not saying anyone right now? You know I'm a massive Wigan fan. I don't know. That's a tricky one. I don't know what to say.
No, it's a bit of a tough question.
It was Nathan Cleary from
Nathan Cleary was the answer
from Penrith Panthers. Yeah.
Really?
So there you go. Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Wow. That's who he's going to get to sign his boots.
Well, try.
Fine. Okay.
And if you was to set a question for the next guests, which we don't really know, there might be someone from
we don't know
Cambridge University potentially, but
okay. What position in the Super League do they think London Broncos men will finish at the end of the season?
That's a great question. That's a great
good question.
Bigging up London Broncos.
Siobhan, it's been brilliant talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
You speak really well about the sport and about your own sort of involvement in it, and I'm sure it'll be an inspiration to lots of people, not just women. I think I'm buzzing just sat here listening to you.
Thank you.
Radiate, fun and enthusiasm for the sport. So thanks for taking time and talking to us.
Yeah, and it's on this International Women's Day, which it is.
Thank you.
I think you've been a perfect person to have on, a very inspirational character. And I wish you all the best of luck in this season with the Broncos.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been lovely.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
That's the final whistle for this week's episode of the Rugby League Outsiders. We hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to follow us on social media and share this podcast with your friends. And as always, if you have a story to tell, a club to plug, or a player that deserves recognition, we want to hear from you. So until next time on the Rugby League Outsiders, take care.